Hey guys, so this is day 17th of our second lockdown. Um, Today is September the 12th, Saturday, and let's go over the numbers first, and then we can talk about um, the the title of today's stream. So we're at 131 new cases today, and one more death. So we're still at we're 65%. I think it went up a little bit, huh? On the ICU beds, 65%. So there's 158 in use, and 53 of them are COVID related. And it's 65% of the general beds too. So um, I guess the total number of beds, it's, I mean, 65 doesn't seem like it's a red flag, but given the low number of total beds that we have, that's I guess that's kind of concerning. It's been going up and down lately, so it's kind of interesting though. 225 general beds are being used for to treat COVID patients. So that's a lot of people, right? 225 people. Um, I don't know what's gonna happen. Um, the mayor of the Big Island had a press conference today, and I don't know if you guys saw it on the news, but um, they have that veterans home on the Big Island that has a cluster going, and that's, I mean, if you question the seriousness of this disease and how quickly it can spread, that place, um, like almost everybody caught the disease, caught COVID. Uh, like, and that's staff and patients. And I think they have like 10 deaths already in that home. Um, so that's kind of scary. Um, Another good example of how quickly this disease can spread is how the lieutenant governor caught it. So, if you look at, I wish all contact tracing could be done like this, but he has his schedule um, kind of like detailed, right? Detailed out, so he knows pretty much what he's doing every minute of the day. And so he kind of narrowed it because I guess he needs to take tests too because he's an emergency room physician, and he was on the Big Island, and he got tested there, and he was negative, and that was prior to Friday, uh, and so you know he suspects that just from the drive to the airport coming back to Oahu, um, there was some contact with his security person, and the security person um, possibly got it from his wife. So the wife was feeling sick, but they didn't get tested. Uh, and then the security guard was feeling kind of ill. This is after they got back, uh, and and then they tested everybody in the office, and uh, Josh Green got tested positive. So I mean that probably was maybe like very limited contact, and according to him, and I'm he's a physician, so I'm gonna take his word for it. Um, he was saying, like, they're all wearing face masks, so um, that's kind of scary how quickly that thing can spread. just with like almost with controlled contact, right? I mean, it's kind, he's very aware of um, getting in, being in contact with people. So if you're that careful, as careful as Josh Green is, and granted, he's probably a lot more active than you and I, definitely more active than I am, and definitely at risk of greater exposure than I am because I'm pretty much just at home all the time. But I mean, I do go out and I do go, like to the shopping center, or not shopping, the grocery store, and I'll pick up food some places. And, it's just that brief contact with somebody else that you just don't know, um, could be infected, and they might not even know, right? Because they could be asymptomatic. Um, and then all of a sudden you have it. So yeah, I mean, this thing spreads really, really fast, and it doesn't take a lot, it seems like, for it to spread. Luckily, it's the percentage is pretty low, right? So if we look down here, 2.4%. Um, and luckily our fatality rate is under 1%, but that's still a lot of people, right? So yeah, it's just kind of scary, like how quickly you can get it. And you just don't know where you're gonna get it from, right? Who's gonna give it to you? All you know is that when you step outside of your house, you run the risk of picking it up and then possibly spreading it to your family. So yeah, 131 new cases. The number is pretty low, right? I mean, we haven't gone below 100 yet. Um, I think we had one day was like 66, but I think that was more of a outlier. So we haven't really gone under 100 yet. So we're still in the triple digits. We're not at 300, so that's good. But I don't think, if anybody's telling us, like Department of Health, that hey, things are getting better, no, I wouldn't. That is gives you a false sense of security. And again, I mean, look at the if you just look at the data, it's kind of scary, right? I mean, granted that this was the peak of our spike in cases, and it's kind of gone down, but still, it's not down to this level yet, right? July, March. So we got a long ways to go, and so that's kind of what I wanted to talk about in this stream was is when can we expect life to resume? Because everybody's life is on hold right now, and even if you are going to work is probably not the same, right? I mean, if you work in the food industry, yeah, you're going to work every day, but work is definitely different, right? um, I don't know what industry hasn't been touched by this. I mean, even if you work for government, um, we have a stay-at-home order, right? So depending on what your position is, um, you probably have to work from home, or there's some accommodation to work from home, and yeah, it's we don't know when we're going to when life is going to resume. I think we already know life is never going to go back to the way it was prior to the COVID outbreak, right? Um, even if they come up with a vaccine, If unless it cures it, or even if it, if it even if it works like completely, it probably won't be permanent, right? So like, how often are we going to have to get a shot, a vaccine shot? I don't know. Um, and according to some of the articles, like Dr. Fauci, he's saying uh, we got till the end of 2021. So that's like not the end of 2020. That's the end of 2021. And he's saying that's when we could see life return back to how it was before COVID-19. But I don't think that's going to be the case. I don't think we're ever going to go back to how it was before COVID-19, right? I mean, unless you can eliminate uh, COVID-19, that's just something that we're going to have to live with. And again, we know how contagious it is. And unless everybody's going to get, and we know that's not going to be the case, right? I doubt they're going to give us the vaccination for free. And they might do it in the beginning, but they're not going to give us a vaccination for free for the rest of our lives, right? So some people aren't going to get it, and just some people just aren't going to get vaccinated, period. So I don't think we're ever going to go back to how it was before COVID-19. And that's just, I'm not a doctor or anything, but that from what I can see happening, it doesn't seem like it's going to go back to pre-COVID, right? The funny thing is, he was on a conference call. So he's been doing these conference calls. It's kind of sad because he was supposed to do one with Josh Green in Hawaii, but that got canceled because he had some kind of surgery done or some kind of medical procedure done. So he wasn't able to do it. But he's been doing it with a bunch of celebrities. And so Jennifer Garner asked him if, like, when does he think people will go back to the theater to watch movies? And he's saying like 2021. And that's probably not what she wanted to hear. The movie industry has got to be taking a beating right now. I went ahead and splurged for Mulan. I was excited to see the live action version of Mulan, and I kind of talked about it in a previous stream, and I enjoyed it, but it was $30, on Disney Plus, so I didn't go to a theater to watch it. And normally I go to the theater, like pre-COVID, I was going to the theaters every week, right? Every Tuesday. That's my movie night with my movie gang. And since the outbreak, we haven't gone to a movie theater at all. And I don't see. And the movie theaters did reopen right before it got shut down again, right? For the second shutdown. So I don't see me going to a movie theater for a while. I mean, I don't like a while meaning like indefinitely. Like I have no idea when I'll go back to a movie theater because it's like going on an airplane, right? You're in for 2 hours. You're in an enclosed indoor air conditioned room with other people. And so yeah, I don't know, next year, I don't know, maybe we'll see. Again, like I'm not going to count on the vaccination because even if I get vaccinated, right, I can still be a carrier for the virus. I mean, I'm touching things and it can be on me. I could take it home and, take my hat off or something, and somebody touches it and then they get it, right? If they didn't get vaccinated. Um, so yeah, I don't know. Even with the vaccination, like I wouldn't count on life returning to normal, right? Because again, like what we're being told is it's not just to protect ourselves, but it's to protect other people too. That's why we're locked down. So if even though you get vaccinated, there's going to be people who aren't going to get vaccinated. And yeah, it's their choice, and we can take this stance. Well, if they choose that, they get what's coming to them. Well, uh, I don't want to be responsible for giving someone, as silly as it is that they didn't get the vaccination, uh, the disease. So, I mean, that by itself would prevent me from like going to the movie theater or even traveling for that matter. So I mean, I don't know. I don't know when I'm gonna even travel again. And granted, I don't travel a lot, but I do travel to the neighbor islands, and luckily the plane ride is not that long. It's like 30 minutes, right? Um, around 30 minutes, 30, 40 minutes. But if I were to go to the mainland, that's like 5+ hours. Uh, I'd have to wear a mask, and I don't know, even a mask. I don't know if even a mask is going to protect you. Um, so I mean, that's just my own feeling on that. Granted, I do know people who have traveled, even like, within the last month, and that's their decision, and that's fine, but you come back here, you have to quarantine, right? Um, Luckily, like I don't think anywhere I would go would require me to quarantine there, but if I come back, I may have to quarantine. And we have no idea when they're going to stop quarantine, uh, visitor quarantines, right? We don't know. Um, they were, again, there was talks. I think ever since they started the visitor quarantine, we've never lifted it, right? And it was always like, okay, we're just going to quarantine for this amount of time, and that we hit that end date, and they say, oh no, we're going to extend it, and then we're going to extend it, and we're going to extend it. And so that's why a lot of the hotels are shut down, right? Because they have no idea. Um, it doesn't make sense to keep the hotel or resort open if you only have, like 10% capacity or even less, right? So, so that's why a lot of them are shut down. So, yeah, I mean, that's the question, right? The question is, when is life going to resume? Just any form of normal, not normal, but active life, right? Uh, and I don't know when that's going to be. And there's a lot of reasons why we shouldn't, but there's also a lot of reasons why we should. I don't know about you, but it's tough. It's tough to be in lockdown. It's tough to not be able to be with your friends and family. I would go to my parents' house. Um, I would see my brother and the kids, and um, every week. And ever since this happened, I haven't. I mean, we do like house party and Zoom and like FaceTime and kind of video things, but yeah, in person, nothing for ever since this happened, and we're going on like 6 months, right? So, I mean, is this how life is going to be forever? Is this how life is going to be into the holidays? Is is this going to be the way? Is this going to be how life is going into next year? That's what it looks like. Um, so as far as like the vaccine goes, so I've kind of been following this. Let's see here. So let's see if I can get my big head out of the way here. Um, so one of the vaccine companies, this AstraZeneca, they're in the UK, and so they're working on a vaccine, right? And I think earlier this week they had put it on hold. And so it's kind of they're kind of pushing this vaccine. They're kind of fast tracking it, right? And this is the important reason why it takes a long time for vaccines to make it to the public, because there can be a lot of side effects, right? I mean, I don't know if you notice the pharmaceutical companies, the commercials on TV, and sometimes it seems like taking that drug is worse than what it's supposed to help you with. Because they always list this, they have this long list of side effects at the end of the commercial, right? Well, when you're looking at distributing a vaccine to everybody, like perfectly healthy people, right? Like some of the other drugs in these pharmaceutical companies, it's for people. It's prescription only, right? So your doctor prescribes it to you if you have a condition. Well, this is a vaccine, kind of like the flu shot. You're perfectly healthy, and they're giving you this vaccine. So they need to test it to make sure, like, if you're perfectly healthy, you're gonna stay healthy, and if you're not healthy, it shouldn't make you worse, right? Um, so anyway, they were doing their testing. They were doing human trials already, which is kind of fast, right? So they're in phase 3, right? Late stage trials known as phase 3. It says vaccine developers typically enlist tens of thousands of volunteers. And I believe in Hawaii they're doing a study like that as well, right? Where I think on the news they said they were asking for volunteers, and they signed up a whole bunch of people. Um, I don't know if it was for a vaccine though, but um, a lot of people just signed up for it to be a guinea pig, right? Uh, so half the participants receive a placebo and half receive the vaccine. Well, one person got really, really sick, and he must have gotten really, really sick, like for them to just stop the trial. It must have been really serious. And from what I understand, and they kind of go into it here, and we don't know this is true because I don't think we're going to get an official report of what happened, but someone spoke on the condition of anonymity and said that the symptoms were consistent with the inflammation of the spinal cord known as transverse myelitis. And I don't know what that is, right? Inflammation of the spinal cord. That sounds like serious. But I don't know what this condition is, transverse myelitis, right? I'm probably saying it wrong. I don't know who comes up with those kinds of names. But let's see. Here's better description of it. It's the inflammation of the spinal cord, right? The major part of the central nervous system. The spinal cord carries nerve signals. Okay, we know what the spinal cord does. um, and transverse refers to the pattern of changes in sensation. So what does that mean? Like what, like how bad was it for this guy? Well, we know like inflammation. I've had inflammation on my spinal cord when I've had 2 back surgeries because of a ruptured and a protruding disc in my back, and it's really, really painful. Like really, really painful. I won't even go into it, but it was horrible. Um, and there was no there's no amount of drugs that's gonna make you feel better. That's how bad it is. Um, I don't know if this guy was that bad, but it was bad enough for them to stop the trial. But it says here symptoms include pain, sensory problems, weakness in the legs, possibly arms, bladder, and bowel problems. Um, that's pretty bad, right? Um, but also, like, I know that um, like a lot of spinal problems or nervous system problems can be caused by viruses, right? Like shingles and stuff like that. Those are like viral type of things. Um, so anyway, like I was like, okay, what causes this condition, transverse myelitis? Well, immune system disorders, right? Well, the vaccine is supposed to help our immune system, right? And we know that in COVID patients, there were reports of your body uh, fighting off the disease can actually damage the body, right? It kind of overreacts and damages the body. So I don't know. It maybe this could have happened, where maybe they gave the guy the vaccine and his immune system went crazy and created this condition. Viral infections, right? And we know, like with the flu, they're giving us like the flu particles, right? So I mean, it's a deactivated um, strain of the flu, so it's not supposed to get you sick. Um, but I don't know, bacterial infections, and all of these things are possible, you know, um, ways to get this condition. So in the trial, something happened, and if this is true, where the person says the symptoms were consistent uh, with the inflammation of the spinal cord, uh, that's kind of serious, right? Like, and even if it's one person, again, like they're giving the vaccine is supposed to go out to everybody and to healthy people. So you can't be giving a vaccine to a healthy person and then making them sick, and making them very sick. So, and I won't go into the whole anti-vax people or whatever you call those guys. The guys who are anti-vaccine. They had, they have their own, reports of stuff happening that they're attributing it to vaccinations and stuff like that. But obviously, in this case, like rushing this through, you're gonna encounter these things anyway, and usually we just don't hear about it. Um, but it's science, right? So it's trial and error, and it's a lot of testing. And so, like rushing it, I mean, this panic and reactive uh, method reason for getting out a vaccine quick it can be dangerous, right? So I'm pretty sure. I mean, I'm sure like all these companies are being as safe as possible, and the fast tracking. A lot of it had to do with like red tape and stuff, uh, which doesn't affect the science. But I'm pretty sure in this situation, like there is. I'm just hoping nobody's cutting any corners, because that's all we need, right? Like something that's supposed to make us better and protect us, and it doesn't, right? That's the whole problem with the early versions of the COVID tests that came out, and it was giving a lot of false positive and false negatives. Um, and we just can't afford that with this kind of a outbreak and a pandemic of this magnitude. Like you just can't have uh, inaccurate, or you just can't have things not working properly, when you're giving it to like a whole bunch of people. So and so this after seeing this, it kind of made me think like, well, even if we do get a vaccine out this year, um, like how well will it work, right? Like we don't know how well it's going to work. We don't know, it might work for a certain percentage of people, and then I've had friends who've taken the flu shot and they've gotten the flu. So and I think a lot of people know people like that, right? And yeah, it does help a large number of people from getting the flu. Uh, but in this case, because it's so contagious, like if it doesn't work for a decent percentage of people, they're going to be spreading it to other people, right? So it has to be. I think it has to be a high percentage effective, right? It can't be like low effectiveness. It has to be like high. Um, and so, I mean, I'm just going to leave it up to the researchers and the scientists to figure that out. Um, but from what I understand, like this is not an easy thing. Usually, it would take like years, right? Like 5 to 10 years, um, to get FDA approved on a drug, any drug that you're going to give out to a lot of people. So um, yeah, I mean, I mean, again, like, so I'm not gonna bank on the vaccine. Like when the vaccine comes out, I just can't bank on it as being, something that's just gonna save us, right? The thing that's gonna save us, we know what's gonna save us, and basically, it's a change in our behavior, right? It's how we live our life. And again, like I talked about this before, like we all know, like flu season, right? We've had that forever. Like I've always had, as far as I can remember, we've always had flu season, right? When you're a kid, you have flu season. And I remember, growing up and you're being told, okay, don't sneeze into your hand. I still do it. You know, um, Wash your hands after you touch anything, especially like money. I don't know if that's like an Asian thing or what, but if you touch money, wash your hands. Just wash your hands after you touch anything. That's pretty much what I was told when I was growing up. And of course, I don't, right? I don't do that. Um, like if you're sick, stay home, or don't get close to people. And we still see that happening, right? Even in this pandemic, we still see that people are going to work sick. And even if you're not if you don't have COVID, if you just have like some other kind of, like flu, or you have just a common cold, just stay home, right? But people don't do that. And it goes beyond just like a personal choice, right? We've heard, organizations and even the government telling people, hey, you still got to come in. So all of that has to change, and I think that's more important than a vaccine, um, because again, like the vaccine is not going to be 100%. Not everybody's going to use it, and again, even if you take the vaccine, if you're not practicing, you know, safety and hygiene, uh, if you're not spreading COVID, you're spreading something else. So yeah, that's kind of what I see as being the most effective thing that helps us move forward and resume our life. Um, Businesses also have to do the same thing. How we interact um, with businesses, how we consume things. As we're a consumer type nation. Shopping, the whole, got to touch everything. Um, a lot of that's going to have to change, and businesses will have to really take that extra step to make sure, like, if they do want you to touch it, they're gonna have to clean it, like, you know like right away. So uh, it's more of a behavioral thing that's going to I think that's going to save us, and help us get back to normal. And again, like the vaccine, we don't even know if the vaccine, we were told like, oh, we get a vaccine like in October, been told it's going to come out in November, and then, we were told, oh, we'll have a vaccine by the end of the year. Well, that that doesn't seem like that's going to be the case, right? And Fauci even says like, even if you do get it, even if we do get a vaccine, it'll be like months before they have to figure out a way to distribute it to everybody, and they have to ramp up production, and they have to be able to produce enough of it. So even if they find a good vaccine, uh, we probably won't get it, right? And again, they're going to prioritize the vaccine, the first like production of the vaccine, to like medical people or nursing home people, the high risk people. So like me, a regular, average person, I probably won't get it. Kind of like the COVID test. Like I was, I was like really, really sick in March. I came down with the flu, and I couldn't get the COVID test. I went in to go get the COVID test, and they wouldn't give it to me. And I had a fever. I had everything. I was, uh, you know, sinus problems, headache, and uh, upset stomach, and all that kind of stuff. And I couldn't get the COVID tests because at the time they just didn't have enough tests, right? Um, so only when did they do the H3? Last week, right? Only last week I was able to get the COVID test. So that's like 5 months later. So if I use that same, you know, experience with, if I put that my experience with the test with the vaccination, uh, like let's say they announced the vaccine in December, I'm not gonna get it till like April or you know May, right? May or June maybe of next year. So When is life gonna resume? I don't know. I don't know when I'll be able to go out to dinner and sit in a restaurant. I don't know when I'll be able to go to the movie theaters. I don't know when I'll be able to go like Dave and Buster's and play some video games and go to a bar and have drink with friends and go to a party and celebrate birthdays and graduations. um, it's definitely not going to be this year. I'm pretty sure on it. I would put money on it that even if they do reopen things, it'll be quite limited. We're already being warned that flu season is coming up again, and on the mainland, it's not that big of a deal for us here in Hawaii. But if we reopen travel to tourists, you know, other places like New York or other places on the mainland where the temperatures are going to drop, well, that's good for the virus, right? The virus likes cold, dry weather. And a lot of people don't like cold, dry weather, so then they come to Hawaii from those places. And so, they might be bringing that disease with them here. And I think everybody has that same fear, right? When they reopen tourism. But at the same time, we do need tourism open. We need to, we need to function. We need business to function. We just need to figure out a way to do it safely. And we have no idea how to do that yet. CDC has given us guidelines, and even if you follow the guidelines, they shut us down. And they've changed the guidelines, right? They've changed it multiple times. Um, so I think we're still learning about it. So I don't know. I can you guys remember what it was like this time last year? What you were doing, like how were you living your life? I can. I go to I just was browsing my Google Photos, and this time last year I was on the Big Island, um, not practicing social distancing, uh, meeting a whole bunch of new people at the Becoming an Outdoors Woman um, camp. And so it was a camp. Like we were all camping out on the Big Island on Mauna Kea. And you can see here it was 54 degrees. And I remember totally being unprepared for how cold it was up there. And we were sleeping on these cots, and I didn't have. I brought a blanket, and that was pretty much it. I didn't have a sleeping bag or anything. And the problem with the cot is that you put the blanket over the top of you. The top of you is nice and warm, but my butt was just completely frozen, and I was like shivering. And so that's why we made a trip down to Costco. Um, and we're sitting out in the parking lot because we locked the keys in the car. And so we spent like, I don't know, a couple of hours in the parking lot until we could get somebody to come down and open the car for us. But like that kind of stuff, we're not gonna have that. I mean, I haven't, it seems like a long time ago, and but that was fun times. Even though it was a disaster, we had fun. We're hanging out. No masks, nothing. Here's Dion teaching. Becoming an Outdoors Woman is a really great program, and we had our first program last year in September in Hawaii. And basically, the program is you sign up, right? and it's not just for women. Men can sign up too, but the program is designed for women, and how women learn uh, is different than how men learn, right? So a lot of outdoor camps and clinics and stuff are usually geared towards men, and it can be intimidating for women to participate. So the turnout is really really low. Well, this program was created specifically for women, so and the turnout's great. I mean, it was packed, and it the we could only take a certain amount of students, and it filled up like within a week. So um, yeah, and basically they teach you you just sign up for whatever you want. We have a whole list of activities that if you're interested in it, um, you sign up for those activities. And so we had kayaking, we had firearm safety, um, you know, we had a gun range, and you could go out there and shoot pistols and hunting rifles, uh, canning food. Ken, one of the hunter ed instructors, he cans his own food, for like preserving it. So he has his little pressure cooker here, and he shows he taught people how to can their food. Um, Here we go. This example of some of the food that people canned. Um, there's some lecture type stuff. Here's the class. It was a pretty good sized group. I think it was like 30 something people. And we even had like a lei making class. So Dion did this. She did it really last minute. The original lei maker that we had come down, decided not to do it. I'm not going to go into why, but and she filled in last minute, and she did a great job. Everybody loved it. You can see them, getting the tea leaf ready, and uh, I got some examples of some completed ones. I was kind of surprised how well it turned out. Yeah, see, so that came out really, really nice. And these are just the students, and they've never made a lei before in their life. And a lot of them flew in from all over, from all the different islands. They came here. And we had a knife making class. So basically, we had a blank, and they made their own handles for it. They installed the blank into the handle. um, we had all the equipment there, grinders, the hammers. A lot of them glued their fingers together. There was some epoxy involved in putting the handles together. Yeah, so this was September last year. This is what I was doing. And yeah, another group photo, right? How many group photos do you have this year? Right? I don't really have a lot of group photos this year because of COVID. Thanks a lot, COVID. Driving around, you got goats. The goats are still out and about. They don't practice social distancing. They don't care about COVID. But yeah, I mean, I would highly recommend, if you don't use Google Photos, I would definitely try it out. The great thing about Google Photos is that if you install it on your phone, every photo that you take on your phone, you can have it automatically back up into the cloud on Google Photos. and you can set it up where it's not gonna save the full resolution. It'll kind of down, res it a little bit, but it's still good quality. But it's unlimited storage. So it's a good way to back up your photos. I mean, I would still recommend that you back up the full size images onto your personal computer from your phone. But this is a way where you don't need to really, you don't need to have to bother with it. Um, it just does it whenever you connect to Wi-Fi. It'll just start uploading the photos into your account. Um, but yeah, it's a good way. Like, oh, what did I do like in September 2019? Oh, what was I doing in September 2018? So you can just kind of go through the calendar here on the right hand side. Um, so yeah, I mean that's pretty much all I wanted to talk about. If that's something that I'm always thinking about, when is life going to resume, and how much I miss my life. And I think knowing that life is not going to be the way it was, um, how close will it be when life does resume? And what can I do to make it even better in the future? Despite uh, whatever restrictions we have to live with for this disease, um, there's still things that we can do, right? So, um, like today, I went to go, take a look at some fishing spots. Um, you know, COVID has cleared the beaches, so there's a lot of more places that's not as crowded. Um, Basically, there's only fishermen out where I was. Um, a lot of beachgoers are not going to the beach. So yeah, I mean, there's a silver lining in here. You just kind of have to dig really deep to try and find it. Um, but yeah, I think I kind of want to be positive, and I know it's hard for a lot of people to be positive, especially with the uncertainty. But um, I don't doubt we'll get through this. I don't doubt that we'll resume some form of activity in life. Like, I don't think we're going to be locked at home for the rest of our lives. I I just don't see that happening, uh, and for a lot of reasons. But I think until we get a good handle on this disease, and we change and we modify our behavior, we are going to be in lockdown, right? And that's why we have this second lockdown. But hopefully, we can all learn from this and change our behavior. And hopefully, with modern medicine and technology, we're able to get past this and resume living our life, right? That's that's what I'm hoping. So anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about tonight. I still want to do a review on Cobra Kai. I've been telling all of my friends um, that they should watch it because it's such a great, um, relaxing, for the entire family series, and it's on Netflix. S- um, but I don't want to do a review on every single episode, so I might just do a review on season one, as in one stream, and then season two in another stream. So maybe I'll do that for another stream. Maybe tomorrow I'll do. Yeah, maybe tomorrow I'll talk. Well, I don't know. Tomorrow I kind of want to talk about football because the NFL, you know, season has started, and but I don't think I'm going to be talking about football. I'll just talk about it a little bit. But yeah, maybe if you guys are interested and you guys don't know if you want to invest your time in watching Cobra Kai, uh, maybe I'll do maybe I'll do a review to try and convince you because I really, really enjoyed it. So anyway, that I'll think about it. So thanks for hanging out. Have a good night, and don't think too hard uh, about COVID, and life and everything. Uh, spend some time thinking about it, but everything's good in moderation, right? So anyway, have a good night.